think it's probably fair to surmise that most on this call are already pretty familiar with the challenges inherent with clinical trial matching. There is, after all, a reason why you kindly joined us today and registered for this webinar initially. However, it still probably makes sense to explore some of the key associated metrics, if only to serve as a reminder of just how problematic matching patients to trial proves in practice. So with that in mind, we've got a series of infographics on the screen here. And if we start at the top left, it's worth noting that a quarter of investigative sites fail to enroll enough patients, while simultaneously 80% of clinical trials fail to meet their recruitment timelines. So we can see from this straight off the bat that there's no shortage of pent-up demand on the part of healthcare providers and drug manufacturers to identify patients and identify them early for clinical trials. And yet, if we scoot down to the bottom row, we can see that fewer than a third of clinicians actually discuss clinical trial options during treatment planning. And an unbelievable 85% of patients are entirely unaware that clinical trials might be an option for them. In fact, if we double down on that metric and actually scoot across the top right, we find that of those patients who do recognize that trials might be a part of their treatment plan or could be a part of their treatment plan and are kind of raising their hand to say, look, please consider my candidacy, 99% of those patients cite a frustration and an inability to achieve cut-through. So failure to marry up the demand from the institution and the manufacturers on one side with the patients on the other translates to fewer than 4% of cancer patients in the US being enrolled in trials. And whilst the eagle-eyed among you will notice that the provenance of these data points is largely US, and I'm mindful that we've got over half of the attendees on the line today are representatives of the National Health Service here in the United Kingdom, we found through equivalent studies and our own parallel peer benchmarking study that the kind of challenges we're seeing here are manifesting themselves in other regions in an equivalent manner.